In 1975, Shotaro Ishinomori created the superhero tokusatsu series Super Sentai, which began with Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, which is of course a hit for Toei in Japan, and as the series went on, gained some sort of international attention with people such as the legendary Stan Lee wanting to try and make an adaptation for Western audiences. While that would unfortunately not happen for Stan's sake, despite there being some Sentai co-produced by Marvel, and a tokusatsu based on Spider-Man even, there would later be a chance for Hive Saban. And through Saban, we would get a series called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 1993, which was adapted from 1992's Zyuranger. For me, before I was watching the likes of Dragon Ball, Jackie Chan, Michelle Yeoh, Donnie Yen, Jet Li, or even Bruce Lee, it was Power Rangers that showed me martial arts and fiction. Hell, the more I think about it, it was this series that introduced me to kaiju a la Godzilla, which it even crossed over with. Of course, I had a long spell where I thought I grew out of it, while I remained a fan of things like Dragon Ball, Marvel and DC superheroes, and Pokemon. Weird how that works. But that spell would die off when I hear of a modern fighting game in the Power Rangers franchise, Battle for the Grid. And it was gonna feature Street Fighter's Ryu and Chun-Li as DLC. Anticipating the day I bought it for Switch before the Super Edition released, with most of the DLC, keyword most. And after that, I would rewatch Power Rangers for the first time in years, with even my youngest brother getting into it at the same time. With that, I became a Power Rangers fan reborn. But anyway, enough reminiscing. How do I feel about Battle for the Grid as a game, both as a gamer and a restoring Power Rangers fan? Let's find out. Finding out about the Ranger multiverse, the evil Lord Drakkon takes his bloodlust across universes, taking out his varying good versions, being Tommy Oliver. The crisis being so damning, Zordon calls upon other Rangers from time and space, even to the RPM universe. With whatever Rangers he can get, the United Team must stop Drakkon in his tyrannical ways. Having read only a little bit of the comic source material that influenced this story mode, from what I've seen of it, even if it's darker than even the darkest of Power Ranger episodes, it's simple, but it works. And I don't ask for complex storylines in Power Rangers, of all things. In addition to the main story modes, some DLC characters, including Ryu and Chun-Li of Street Fighter fame, have their own sides of the story to tell. But weirdly enough, you find them in arcade mode. Why? I don't know. But I do know that it renders selecting your Ranger team beyond pointless if they're your central characters for the playthrough, so that kinda sucks. But anyway, as for the gameplay itself, Battle for the Grid is a 2D fighter starring, well, Power Rangers and various villains. As most fighting games tend to be complex, Battle for the Grid has mechanics that are a bit more simple than, say, Street Fighter, King of Fighters, or even Mortal Kombat. Though it isn't too simplistic to the point of being dull. Far from it, as there is a lot of fun to be had with this. The only downside is that Enway could do better with the AI. As of this recording, even on the easiest difficulty, the AI can get pretty cheap in places. Nothing unbeatable, but annoying for sure. I hate to try that on hard, and I'm not risking destroying expensive controllers. But besides that, and that Ryu and Chun-Li don't play as similar as their base games, a lot of the combos are easy to pull off, and the ultimate moves are as simple as filling up a bar, or at least 2/3 of it, and hitting at least a trigger button. Of course, similar to... And even if you slightly change the controls on ultimate moves...
Here I go! Shadow Clone Jutsu! Go! To! Uzumaki Barrage!
Seriously, like 2/3 of those examples, Power Rangers is a licensed game after all, so it makes sense on why that would be easy. Of course, you can have Zords, or in Goldar's case, Kaiju, but only as assists, which is kind of disappointing to have the Megazord reduced to the equivalent of a Monty Python running gag. As much as I wasn't a fan of Cyberbots, it tried to have that feeling, and I wish that concept could be explored upon in this. As for the sound, while initially not in the game until updates, keep in mind I never played this game at launch. But since then, there have been quite a few voice actors from the show that reprise their roles, including Johnny Young Bosch as Adam,
I'm the frog. courageous in spirit.
Sabrina Lou is Scorpina.
The name's Scorpina, and I'm your worst nightmare.
Barbara Goodson as Rita Repulsa.
Well, well, well. The great and powerful sage of Eltar, now in hologram form and seeking my counsel. How the times have changed, Zordon.
Kerrigan Mahan as Goldar.
You and your weapons are no match for me.
Daniel Southworth as Eric.
I'm not just any ranger. Not by a long shot.
Austin St. John as Jason.
Back to action!
David J. Fielding as Zordon.
To all those who will hear these words, my name is Zordon of Eltar. I come to you from across the grid with a warning.
And of course, Jason David Frank as Tommy, as well as his evil counterpart, Drakon.
Who are you? You know who I am? Oh, that's not possible. I killed you. And yet, here we are. Guess your chaos crystal works in mysterious ways. It doesn't matter. You're too late. You failed when I was but a man. What hope could you possibly have when I am a god? You know, I didn't understand when we first met. Why you do this.
In addition, while the music is a little more on the heavier side, it's still fitting of the franchise. Even has covers and variations of the classic Ron Wasserman track from Tony Porter and Dominic Cifarelli. Visually, while not groundbreaking, it does its job, being as colorful as the TV show it's based on. A final thing of note is the amount of versions of this game. When I first bought it, I picked up the Collector's Edition, which contains some DLC such as playable characters and some costumes for already existing ones. And when it was on sale, I would buy the physical version of the Super Edition, which contains most of the DLC until past 4 released. The closest I got to the base game was when it was on Xbox Game Pass, and even with the patches and the story mode, there was just not a lot of content by comparison, which is a bit of a shame, but hey, the story mode is worth it for a weekend, just not with its price. In the end, at its current state, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is a decent fighting game based on the Tokusatsu franchise. You just need to know the best version to pick up, but be prepared for some BS with the AI on easy. In the end, if you're even a former Power Ranger fan, check it out.